second half is me and Nick with like the keynotes there. So I think
the first half is going to be on the Thai, and it's going to be Thai language.
it's Thai, but they'll have English translation. Then the afternoon session will be in English.
So
We'll talk about it when people get here.
That's already fully booked, right?
No.
No? I thought I checked yesterday or 2 days ago and it said it's booked.
What's it called?
Maybe you're on the blacklist.
Sorry, what?
Maybe you're on the blacklist.
You can sign up for it. They were expecting like 50 people. I was like, they're stupid. Because it's actually not. It's sponsored by the U.S. Embassy.
Yeah, but on Luma it said I can
Oh,
only
you
join
can't even
the
sign
waiting
up.
list.
Yeah. Join the waiting list. You'll
I
get
think it's for
accepted.
everyone.
It's kind of like in Luma they only blocked out 80 or 50 seats or something. So,
Oh.
but they'll accept everyone. I'll push them to do it today.
It's a long time, 6 hours.
It's live.
Which also is yours,
Yes.
problem with the
Yeah,
computers.
for me, some purpose I can give him some person there.
I don't know how to log in.
Oh, is it Team 5?
Yeah.
We tried sitting there last time. I had from Tony Walk from Yellow.
Yeah. Oh, you were there?
No, you know Tony. Tony. Green Dragon guy.
Maybe it's
Maybe he will came tonight.
if you see. Oh, the one with the
Yeah,
he works in the same.
Yeah.
Is it too cold in you guys or are you good? A little cold, right? Okay.
We'll wait for some more people to come in. And in the meantime, we can talk more about drama.
No drama. It is in drama?
No, whatever drama when I walked in here, it's all the political stuff.
I wouldn't say that Alex is probably.
Yeah, it goes in that direction, right? And like it has, and as much as we want to avoid it, it has relevance to the things that it's important to everyone here in this room, right? If you're an engineer, you kind of have to know about what's going on in the political world, what's going on with regulations. So we're not starting yet, but it's still like I just want to throw that out there, right? Because it, like the whole Alex Karp thing with sovereign intelligence, with the build out that they're doing with NVIDIA, Nemotron, building up this data center, sort of as a response to Anthropic stealing everyone's stuff. But this is interesting because I don't know what message is going out to companies. I don't know, for example, what you guys in the room, if you're going to go and meet with other companies who are saying, hey, I want AI stuff built in my company, what should I use? Should I use Anthropic? I see them on the news, they're stealing everything. What do you respond with? And it's sort of like, well, whatever's in the news isn't exactly true. There are zero data retention policies, there's Bedrock, and you can sort of, there's ways to ensure that boxes to tick, so to speak, that they won't train on your data. So it's kind of false what's been coming out and saying. So the drama this week, for those who don't know, is the whole Alex Karp, the guy who works at Palantir, coming out and complaining, in a sense. And he's like half right and half wrong. But it seems like there's different people in the world who've taken a piece of his message and have run very far in some direction with it, and it's like making the big labs look bad. Kind of, it's understandable in some ways. They're sort of evil in some ways, but in the ways that they're being painted bad is like not correct. It's just not true. If you get a max plan subscription and you don't, and maybe this is the fault of Anthropic, if when you sign up for an account, I believe by default the setting is like they'll train on your data. So if you don't know that, now you do. Like you need to go into your settings and turn it off. Now if you're going in on an enterprise perspective, you have options to ensure zero. Anthropic has spent so much money to give that as an option to you, to make sure that you can say like, I don't want you looking at my shit, testing your stuff on my data. It's mine.
Just to be fair, he wasn't singling out Anthropic because OpenAI does this.
Well, the result of what he said has now spun off all of these little conversations and threads, like people from the All In podcast, and you know, and it's like I said, it's like half understandable because there's concerns about like, well, if Anthropic cuts you off, like with Fable, right? Like if Fable deems that whatever you're querying needs to be sort of, what is it? They bring you down to Opus. That's a problem, and that I understand. That I get.
There is some emerging technology around that that I actually don't remember the name, but I can try to look it up. It's kind of an encryption standard that's built into the token generation and into the LLM mechanism that allows you basically as a customer to encrypt your data and provide some kind of keys such that the LLM side, like the provider side, can do the inference, do whatever it does, but to encrypted data and generate tokens without it actually seeing plain text, and you would be able to decrypt it on your side
Really?
and get the result. I'm not an expert in how it works, but I know that there is such a standard and somebody has been working on that exact cause to allow you as a customer to return your data and the LLM side to do the exact same token generation, but on encrypted text.
Encrypted bits. That's so interesting.
Yeah, it's super interesting, and I don't really know how it works, but I know that there is somebody actually working on that, and it wasn't solved that exact pain point.
Yeah.
But if I had more time, I would try to look up the name and share about it.
That is kind of the bring your own key principle, right? A lot of SaaS applications have that nowadays. So it's really the thing that changes is that you do it twice. So, for example, my company, the Salesforce SaaS hosting, that's connected to an HSM that's like somewhere else, and Salesforce can't, even if they go into the database, they can't see anything. But the problem is, at some point, it needs to be decrypted, right? Because someone has to process it somehow
Yeah.
in a decrypted manner. So as long as you are, as the company, let's say Anthropic, still runs the model for you, the model still sees the plain text.
This is baked into the generation, the token generation itself. It actually gets to the point where only the customer can see the plain text. The model itself, the inference process itself works on the encrypted data, it generates the tokens, and then they can be decrypted back to your side, so the LLM doesn't see the plain text.
Yeah, but during processing, it needs to be decrypted. That's like a very, very old problem. That's not new.
What I'm saying is that somebody found a way to bake it into processing such that it doesn't need to. But again, I'm not an expert in how it works. I would look it up online and find the name for it and like the standard, something like that. And they solved that problem. But
You just can't trust the companies not to train on your data. Something we've been looking at is like, for names, we're creating our own little keys, tokens, like random numbers. So like if you think of a document all redacted in certain terms and dates and whatever, we turn those into like random keys that we send to them, and then we decrypt it back on our end when it comes back. So it's
like when the token
kind of a
has
thought
level,
process.
when the token has a level itself, so they cannot, Anthropic or like their logs, whatever goes to their system, they cannot possibly.
Feedback I'm getting is that you hear you.
I find that hard to believe,
No,
but
Yeah, it sounds a bit like far out, but
Someone's
it would have to
somebody
be
found
baked
a-
in the
I can hear pounding
technology.
if someone
Key sharing. It's like Because you're right, I mean, at the end, it has to know exactly what the word is, right? In the inference.
Unless it happens at the tokenizer level, because words just get eventually in the LLM level, they get converted into tokens. LLM just sees tokens. So if you're able to somehow translate it to the tokenizer level, such that the LLM, would produce the next token, or the next encrypted token, instead of the next plaintext token, it would be the same model, the same reasoning, whatever, the same get, but
I'd be curious if, we can
I
find
would look it
information
up.
on that.
I
Yeah,
really
yeah,
want to
yeah.
look it up and find, some good source to.
Yeah, for sure.
But Nick, do you know any case where it was kind of proven, like, I think one of the examples Alex Karp had was Figma, right? Figma was using Anthropic, and now they made Cloud Design, and, they kind of fucked over Figma. But,
I would say-
they're not using Figma source code that they've put into Cloud Code already.
Yeah.
They
And
just made a better design.
Figma's enterprise. They're not collecting that data. Like,
Exactly.
It's a core function of web development design.
Exactly.
So what do you expect?
So is there any
If you look at, because I used Figma early on, when you couldn't really do design with Claude. I learned a lot from it. I guarantee you they did too. Like if you look at Claude Design, it's exactly the same as Figma.
Yeah, but you can just open Figma.com, right? You don't need the Figma source code from Figma.
But they got the prompt probably.
No, they don't.
Anthropic, they did
Yeah,
the prompt.
no,
from
they're-
Figma.
No,
They're
you're
enterprise.
thinking of when they released that Figma desktop connector thing.
Well, like no, like
That when that was released, we were at 4Cs, I remember, and I don't think like the ZODR stuff existed, but we don't know the contract between Figma and Anthropic, right?
they were probably just paying for tokens, but it was called Figma Make. And
Yeah.
It was exactly the same thing. You'd like prompt, very similar to Claude.
Yeah, but a company the size of Figma and Figma, the fact that they're using the SDK, like the zero data retention policy, like they're not.
You believe zero.
Well, we have to. Well, that's a big topic,
They're
right?
Probably
Like
running through
I don't
Bedrock.
believe
through
that's a
AWS.
very big topic. Like if
It's being
The
blocked.
chief product officer of Anthropic was on the board of Figma 3 days before they released design. So the idea that
Again,
there
the
was like
board.
a Chinese firewall is kind of laughable.
But it's like
But like you can look at
So maybe
Figma
they didn't
now
have
and
the
you can
prompt,
build
but
Figma
they
in like
definitely
3
understood
days.
how things operate.
That's what I'm saying though, is in Claude, like you can build a Figma copy pretty, maybe not.
Kind of.
not actually what Figma was doing.
No, not. I
If
mean,
you
not,
know, if you know what
not,
you're
not,
doing.
yeah, not production level, but I just mean like, it's not like you can look at it. It's not rocket science.
I always,
Well, like early when Figma Make came out, no one was using Claude for design.
Well, yeah,
No.
Claude didn't have design.
Well,
It did. It's
like
just,
no one was using it for like web design so much. Like it was so rudimentary. This is like 4.0 days. But like me using I kind of made my own. I like learned what Figma Make was doing. I was like, oh, you can do that with Claude models, and then I really started using Claude for design more and more. I'm not saying Anthropic couldn't have done this,
Yeah, that's what.
but they have like a really deep partnership, right? And it's more about them just fucking over their partners than anything, right? Not that it's impossible for them to remake without stealing Figma source code.
Sure.
It's like, why are you gonna partner with them if they're just gonna take the learnings
yeah.
and kick you to the side?
Well, what one would have to ask, I mean, was it just a bad contract? Like, if you're gonna sign up with Anthropic, maybe you should say you cannot make a competing product like ours. That seems kind of
Yeah.
obvious.
Well,
I just think it's an obvious take, like that. Any of these labs, like I mean, OpenAI has done this from day one. Like ChatGPT has copied and put many things out of business. It's if they're core to engineering and web development, which design is, they're obviously going to get into that space. Image generation on OpenAI's side, video generation, like all that kind of stuff. They're obviously going to go down that path.
Well, let me pull the topic back to like a technical angle, because this is meant to be a technical group. I don't want it to be political, but it's also, we can't just like look away from it. So the technical thing here is, it's as I was saying earlier, you're in a company or you get hired by a company, you're a consultant for a company, any one of these cases, and they ask you about training data. It's going to happen. Like enterprises want to know, am I secure using GPT, or am I secure using Anthropic? Am I secure using a GLM model? Which is also a very dangerous sort of thinking to have, like, oh, these companies are evil and bad, therefore we should go use an open source model, yet the open source model is being ran on a data provider who you have no idea where they're sending their data to. You're just using it because it's cheap. There's like so many things I think that get involved in the calculation here. I don't think it's like bad, don't use it, good, use it. I don't think it's that simple. I think it's really, really nuanced. As I was saying earlier, if you're on a subscription plan, by default you have that data absorption thing from Anthropic. It's ticked on by default. And like, how many people don't know that? I reckon a lot, right?
I mean, how would you ever know it's trained on the data until like maybe 5, 10 years down the road, where you're like, what do you know about me? You know, type of deal. Like, how can you prove it? And what kind of, are they giving us access to understanding our own separate little pod, or you know, how is that?
Sure. Yeah. Good questions.
Well,
Those are good questions.
The history of the training is they've trained on stuff they're not supposed to.
Right. Absolutely.
So pull that forward.
But what are we worried about privacy, IP, or?
I think that's a really good question, because I just think it's so muddy right now, and there's like this big soup of all this stuff that's thrown in. And on the technical side, what we engineers need to care about is just like how to respond to any of these questions or points. Like if you're someone from C-suite comes down and asks you, what's the deal here? Why did we make this decision? Or what decision do we make? You just need to be able to respond to that in a very intelligent way that is not like, oh, I just saw the news and doing what they say.
Depends on the blast radius. I mean, if I would ask such a question and someone told me like they're like, I don't know, a government or military provider, and their information is absolutely classified, and it's just unacceptable that there would be any way for anybody in a provider to see that in their log or something like that, I would say, okay, on premise. I mean, you have to go down the road of deploying GLM 5.2, but on premise by your own hardware, or at least run on a VPS with, you know, whatever GPU, not on, you know, CAI or whatever provider.
Right,
you know,
exactly.
Do your own deployment. I mean, that's in order to absolutely minimize the blast radius and to know that you control the interference and, you know, the data remains in your cloud or your system. But that's very paranoid. I mean, if you have such requirements, if you're that classified and you have such requirements, you have to go that road. There's no like, that's before AI, this works, not related.
That's a really good point.
Every kind of organization that has very, very sensitive information just doesn't export this information to any cloud provider.
Yeah. It's like, what are you thinking anyways? You should have had your own on-prem. You should be thinking of that. And if you can't afford it, or if it's not mission critical enough, then, you know, is it really?
So if it's not mission critical enough, then I mean, I would live with it. I mean, I've been using Gmail since 2005, and I don't know if somebody there in Google is reading my emails. Maybe I have some very sensitive stuff for my bank, and maybe somebody's reading my email. But it wasn't that critical that I would invest so much in setting up, you know, my own email proxy server. That's what worth it for me. So it depends on, you know, the risk level, your tolerance to, you know, to risk.
Yep,
If it was a government agency, I would invest much more in that than if I, you know,
completely agree. So. I'm actually, let me just kick off. I'll start the event now because I was waiting for more people to come in. So I think it's a good time to start. Enough folks have come into the room. I see some new faces. Hello, welcome. This is a Saturday AI engineering event where what I like to say is we're not afraid to talk about code. We don't talk about code that much anymore. I don't think anyone in the world does. But we're okay with getting very technical. I have no problems whatsoever if you want to bring technical things up, and I imagine many of the folks here in the well think in the room think the same. We meet every Saturday. We just go over the news. We try to stay on top of everything that's going on. So it's just a very technical meetup. That's the whole idea. Should we do the announcements first?
Sure.
Which ones did we do? So I guess before we officially start the meeting, which the way that will work is I'll just present a bunch of news items that happened during the week. We discuss, we share, we talk about how much you hate it or how much you love it, whatever. But before that, Some announcements for this month of July. Let me think about. I think I'll put it on the calendar here because I might have it. I should be careful actually. You know what? I can't show that because there's a lot of company data. So I'll say it out loud. We have. What do we have? We have.
Well, next Saturday, this is canceled, right?
Yeah, so next Saturday on the 11th, this will be canceled. There is going to be a Anthropic, U.S. Embassy, some Thai company event that's happening. It's going to be at CMU STEP. That will be at 2 p.m. It's going to be half of that event will be in Thai, and the other half will be in English. So for those who've come to the previous Anthropic events, you can think of it like that, except it's just half Thai, half English, whereas the other ones are usually full English.
Yeah, it's an all-day event. It's an all-day event. The morning half is all in Thai. It will be translated, and then the second half is just me and Nick giving a presentation on FDE related stuff.
What's the itinerary for the first half? Is it like how to use ChatGPT, or is it like...
No, it's 100%. So it's actually a U.S. Embassy and Anthropic thing. So it's purely Claude. So I think most of the first half is about Claude design and co-work, and that's all in Thai. I think there's 3 or 4 presenters. There's co-work design and 1 Claude code session, I believe.
Do you need us to be there for the morning to like show a force to help support, or?
I wouldn't worry about
It's
it.
in
I think
Thai.
they're technically it's already booked. So like if you go there, sign up, you'll go on the wait list, but everyone will get accepted. But they've already filled it up. It's mostly Thai people coming. So this has we're just talking there. It's not a Claude event that we're managing, and it's not anything to do with us. It's U.S. Embassy with PDKM and NDEA who run this place as well. So that's happening.
Are Anthropic employees going to be there?
No, just me as the ambassador.
I didn't know, are they trying to also promote their certification or
No,
not really?
no, we'll be talking about that because this is the whole talk will be about the whole FDE movement and the certification with Claude Partner Network and all that. So we will be discussing that, but that's just our half. The first half, I'm not sure what they're talking about there.
Yeah. I will put the PDF that has the talks and the times. You guys can just check it out. I'll put it in the WhatsApp group. You can decide for yourself if.
Yeah, and then there's Friday. We're gonna do something Friday night here, just a small workshop, Claude for GTM. So it's all about driving revenue and putting your product in the market and the whole thing. And we got an expert coming in to do that talk, who works with large companies like Clay and stuff like that. So that'll be like a 5:30 to 7:30 workshop here on Friday, and then our things on Saturday.
Yeah. And then also.
What's that? Yeah. Well, I'm actually posting the Friday one, and then the other one is hosted by the Embassy Luma. So we have the link for that. I guess he'll share the PDF for that.
I'll put the link up. There's many events. We also have, so that's the 10th of next week, which is Friday. That's the GTM. On the 11th is the Saturday one, the Embassy. The following week on the 17th, we're going to do an FDE Claude event here, and then Saturday will be as normal. The following week on the 24th, once again, I'll put all the dates so that you don't have to memorize all this. But on the 24th, there's also going to be a Claude consciousness tech talk. This will be somewhere on the other side of the city.
No, it'll be here still.
Okay, it'll be here. And then that's what we can say for now. So a lot of Claude stuff coming this month. That's the announcement. And I'll put it in the WhatsApp chat. That being said, let's talk about the news. Let's see what came out this week. So for those who don't know, I have an AI that runs and just sort of generates this stuff. Let's see. Sonnet 5. Okay, yeah. So this came out on, I think it was like Tuesday. Sonnet 5. Well, let's jump into it. Does anyone use it yet? I saw all this sort of talk and rumor that, its benchmarks weren't that interesting, but
You failed all my benchmarks.
it failed all your benchmarks. It passed all mine. I'm loving it. I think it's great. It's very, very fast. I love that. And I just ignore the benchmarks anyways because they don't seem to be valuable these days. But I'm still curious to hear your take on Sonnet 5 and everyone else's.
So from like, I did the benchmarks based off of, making like gaming systems, things like that, simulations. It's fast and good. It still accomplished it, but it ended up being more, as expensive or more expensive than Opus 4.8 on like a higher thinking mode. That was the issue I had with it. Like,
What effort level was that?
This was high and then ultra or whatever, or it might have been max.
Max?
So, but yeah, so it was faster in general, but it still was about the same price, and if not, sometimes more expensive. And then the overall score on versus Opus on like some of the storylines and different eval benchmarks I have were like 20 to 30% less. And so it did about as well as within 5% range of GLM 5.2, but
Whoa.
like 10 times faster, right?
Yeah. That's still that's really competitive for GLM.
Yeah.
Within 5%. Wow.
But GLM 5.2 is done really well, and the new code harness is actually not bad.
So can you speak, so that's interesting, and it's fine if we segue from one topic to another here. It's kind of like, also, there's like a rule here that you can just shout out a topic. I don't care. Shout it out. We'll talk about it. If we don't like it, the crowd will say, boo, don't discuss it. The GLM harness, what is, so historically they've never had a harness. Going all the way back to their previous models, they actually insisted that you use Claude Code and you like sort of switch the API URL. So what's going on? They've released the harness now?
So they released a Z code to their harness, and honestly, I mean, it's not, I don't think it's open source, but it's got enough holes you can just do whatever you want with it. And one of the things I released this week was I got tired of CodeRabbit and some of the other coding, so I just turned Z code into a full-on CodeRabbit replacement. It's just I had enough hooks and just runs in the background. And the only problem I have with it is, I mean, they're slow as hell, right? And then they throttle the shit out of you. But honestly, I have not run, I'm still at like 90%, and I run it 24/7.
Whoa.
So, they either give you more through the harness, and then there's a lot less suppression, versus when I was using the Claude CLI, I was having all kinds of issues. But on the ZAI harness, it's fine. I mean, it doesn't come with any like tool marketplace or anything, but the migration, actually, OpenClaw copied the migration just now from it, because their migration tool is great. Literally, you open it up, it's set up, and it's like a nice 6-step, like, okay, great, we're gonna migrate any tools, any skills, anything you have from other, Claude Code or Codex, it just pulls it all in. So it's a very lightweight harness. The CLI is really good, actually. So, I mean, for all my use case for GLM, I'm using that now. The only problem I have with it is during 2 to 6 p.m. Singapore time, like, they just throw all the shit out of you no matter what. So, like, I can't run 5 or 6 threads at a time, doing like millions of tokens. But anything outside that window, I mean, you have pretty much unlimited use. If you're on like the $100 plan, so.
Yeah, what are their plans? What are they?
It's like $50 and $100. And honestly, I see no usage difference between the plans. On the only difference I actually saw in their API docs is like, you're allowed to have like one more, like, you get to go from like 2 full-time agents running millions of tokens to like 3 agents. Like that's their throttling, is like, you can't run tons of threads at once.
Oh yeah, that's right, yeah.
Like that if you run any GLM throttling, it's because usually you're like, oh, let me run like 6 threads. But you can run like 2 or 3 threads and just run millions of tokens through nonstop.
So this is an interesting observation. So so from your take, it almost, what I would ask you is like, how would you determine to pick Sonnet 5 versus the GLM 5.2? In what situations would you say, I'm going to pick Sonnet or I'm going to pick GLM? Because it almost sounds like just go with GLM off of what you're saying. And obviously, to the talk we had earlier, be careful about going directly to ZAI and where you send your data.
For me, so the first thing I did with Fable 5 was set up an orchestrator. And I just literally started plug in all my systems and orchestrate all Codex, Cloud Code, everything right, so we could just start running on that. and especially doing simulations. And so simulations can run in the background for hours at a time. And actually, like Fable 5 found several like optimizations about GLM5 that could make the simulations a lot faster. And so that actually helped. It took from like 3 hours down to like 45 minutes for each simulation. So that was really great. But honestly, it just moved a lot over to GLM and then just queued it up. But it immediately figured it out. So I didn't actually, as soon as the first thing I did was orchestrate, then I ran simulations on and benchmarks on both.
Yeah.
And then because Sonic was fast, if I needed something really fast, but at 20% worse than GLM, right? Like, you know, and that was fine. But in that case, I just basically started using, what Sonic did well for on my end was all of the little workflows for like research and anything else that I didn't like, I was wasting tokens on for Opus. And so it could handle just about everything except for like complex, like combat engine, Unity engine stuff. Like, I mean, it could do it, it was just more expensive.
Yeah.
So I just ended up putting it through, I replaced Haiku with it actually. So that would be like what I actually did was, I just replaced all my Haiku activities with it. So any research and like that, Sonic just did really, really well.
There's also a little underlying thing with the GLM5 too, is this is the first time we're starting to see harnesses come out of the Chinese models. Where, like, they're always releasing their weights in their own models, Quinn and all that, but we've never had a harness developed for it. So they're smartening up and building their own harnesses to make it more efficient to use their tech.
Yeah.
You know, and this is like the first example of the new harness on the new models.
Yeah, I think they're catching on to the whole, you know, harness, RL, model combination is really important, and if you don't own one of those pieces, it might not go well for you. You're sort of at the mercy of whatever harness you're telling your users to use, which is not good. So back to Sonnet 5, anyone else, so does anyone not know that it was released this week? Just raise your hands. Did everyone know? No, just a few? Okay.
Just using Opus, I didn't know.
No, okay, yeah.
Not Fable.
What about, is anybody using like Sonnet only mode pre-Sonnet 5? Like who uses a lot of Sonnet?
I used to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to use Sonic the other day. Sonic was like one of my go-tos before. It's just, like, I actually think 4.5 is better in some regards still than 5.
Like, the reason I ask that is because so you're using it primarily, like, Opus will make a plan, you're like, Sonic will do the work?
Yeah, I largely did it for that, not Sonic orchestrated, but like Sonic doing the work, it was pretty good.
Yeah. So I'm curious if someone who had that pattern switched to Sonnet 5.
I stopped using it because it was so slow.
Yeah. Like, post 4.6, you get the new embeddings, so it's automatically 30% more expensive.
Yeah, token expensive, yeah. More token volume, rather.
More tokens. So,
yeah.
And Sonnet only mode overall is still tokens, like max tokens anyways, right? So you're not going to get any benefit potentially.
Wait, can I ask Sonnet only mode? Like, what is it? In Claude Code, you can, I actually didn't know about this, so.
Yeah, there's 2 usage limits.
Oh, not anymore.
They got rid of that?
They got rid of it like 2 days
Oh,
ago.
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
That was a while ago
I'm
that they
trying
were-
to like
Yeah,
token
no,
max
2 days
here.
Really?
Yeah.
How can I abuse this?
Well, I know they replaced, okay, so maybe they replaced, this is the question, I don't know what I'm talking about. You're talking about at the very bottom of the usage bar, if you're like in a CLI / usage, and today now they're showing us Fable.
Yeah, 2 days ago it was showing Sonic.
Right, okay, so
Now
they
they
switched
just
it to
got rid of it.
Fable, and then there's some sort of unannounced change, because from what my understanding was that Fable, you could use it up to 50% of your total usage, but I'm seeing all these photos of people online who've they're at 90% of their Fable usage bar, it's just
And
fine.
It just keeps going.
It just keeps- yeah.
That's because if you actually run, like, what is it, model usage tracking, it switches to 4.8 sometimes without telling you. So, like, there are times when it will, this was a bug earlier this week on it, is that it basically, there's been several posts on this, you have to actually track where the IP credits are going. But there are times where it will tell you it's switching to 4.8, and there's times it will just switch to 4.8,
Yeah.
do task and not tell you.
Yeah.
Some people came out and was like, oh, I only have Fable 5 going, but yet 40% of my usage is going to Opus 4.8. Because I did the same thing. I went through all week just Fable 5.
This is that classifier thing. It happened the first 2 days the Fable came out originally, going back many weeks ago, and it was sort of an oversensitive classifier that would bring you down to Opus. And we have to imagine that U.S. government has asked for more classifiers, and that's probably the reason why it's like very,
It should be telling you now, though. It tells you.
No, there are times when it will switch,
Yeah.
but there are times when it will just switch without telling you. So,
How do you notice?
because I track where the API credits go. I track all my usage.
You're using API.
Sorry, I track all the token usage going through whatever the calls go through. So
But how do we do that? That's what.
there's plugins you can do.
Oh, there's a plugin.
Yeah, there's several plugins you can do to track all your usage on each model, because like it doesn't show you anymore on the back end for Cloud Code. It just says your total usage, right? So you can see what got called.
I mean the web dashboard.
Well, no, there's like 10 different tools to track how you're doing model usage. I use one from one of the internal team at Open Cloud uses. So we track it's kind of like Codex where we track our usage across all of the models.
You're doing this just to test models or for budget reasons?
No, so I can see how many tokens I'm using in each model. It mostly works like if you're trying to benchmark something and you want to run a specific run.
Did anyone else get this notification this morning that 50% is only until July 7th, or is that just me?
It's till July 7th, but
Yeah, it looks like
it's a data center
Shut
thing. They're gonna, I mean, Theric posted this week that they're trying to get it back on subscription.
Is it though, or is it like when 5.6 GPT comes out, it's like, oh hey guys,
Yeah, they're gonna.
like I know 5.6 came out today, but guess what? This also is coming out today.
From what I understand, from what they talked about in the ambassador group, was that the usage of Fable, and that's why they limited it the first time. The usage was so intensive, and they haven't rolled into Colossus 2 yet. So they got all of Colossus 1. They haven't moved into Colossus 2. So the idea was, as soon as they get Colossus 2 online, they're going to roll Fable back into subscription.
That's what I would say too.
But they wanted, the reason they set the date was they were just assuming it was going to take up that much data usage, and they were going to adjust. They're either going to extend it on the 7th. They're going to say, okay, we're going to extend it.
What
or we're
happened
gonna
to
pull
the
it off
5th?
and bring it back?
Did we move from 5th to the 7th?
No, it's the 7th.
Okay.
Wait, it was always the 7th. It wasn't the 5th.
Was it?
Yeah, it was always the 7th because it's 4th of July weekend. They wouldn't do it on like.
Okay,
Yeah, that would suck. That would suck a lot.
There's a lot of families back in the U.S. right now. Like, where's Dad?
On Fable. So, all right, let's see what else we got. This whole entire slide is pure Anthropic. We'll run with it for now. Fable 5 is back. This we've already just sort of discussed right now. By the way, has anyone who's been using it? Just raise of hands. Oh, like half of you, more than half.
Oh, yeah,
What's the experience like? I've been seeing some stuff about there's funny, interesting benchmarks. Oh, we've retested it. It's dumber than when it first came out before the government, had the whole ordeal. And then there's other folks saying it's amazing. I'm loving it. I have never felt so chill while coding or whatever it is that I do every day. And I wish I can have that experience forever. Love to hear what you guys are feeling on it. Does anyone want to share? Does anyone have any feedback on Fable and what their life has been like?
It did all my work and I have nothing else to do now.
Oh my God.
Wiped out my entire backlog and just knocked it out in 15 hours. So.
Using it as an orchestrator?
Yeah, so I spent like 20% of my credits for setting up orchestrator, doing basically this is how I really want everything routed, and then I turn on ultra code and I just let it go for 15 hours straight. It didn't even need, if you set it as that and you orchestrate it correctly, you can use Fable 5 forever. I mean, it went for.
But you have to be careful, right? Like if you're doing ultra code with Fable, it might set Fable as the model for the.
So this is why I didn't put it in this group. I should have shared it in this group. There's a couple of us. We set up there's a repo for this now, and basically you can set up the right just a Claude API, plug the right routing on it. But there's two things that I would say you can use Fable almost forever on. The biggest thing, if you turn on orchestrator mode, it will invalidate your cache a ton because it will keep putting out tasks and it'll go over the 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You need to put a hook in place. So like, if there's anything you listen to me today on, put a hook, and you're using Fable 5, put a hook in place that automatically fires as soon as it ends a turn while it's waiting, and it re-wakes it up every 4.5 minutes. If you do that, because basically the cost of one invalidated cache on Fable is the same as waking it up for 2 hours. You could literally have it just wake up for 2 hours, and basically every 4 minutes, versus if you let it go over the 5 minute mark. That's the biggest token cost on
Is
Fable.
it a cache invalidation?
It's the cache invalidation.
5 minutes?
It's 5 minutes.
Okay.
So
Is
after
that the same for all Anthropic
all
models?
Anthropic models are 5 minutes unless you set it to 1 hour.
Yeah.
And 1 hour, you can set it to 1 hour and it costs 50% more. But there's no reason to do that if you just set up wake up calls. That's like the secret to my running Claude 24/7 is I never let it basically go, like if it has, there's a rule in my Claude MD, if there's stuff in the backlog or in the sprints and anything like that, it'll keep hooking until it's all done. And so I literally run the highest level model for days. Honestly, like that's like the #1 cost if you're like, oh, my Claude like runs out and stuff, is because it just stops. And
Yeah.
the cache invalidation just literally, the rewrites, it's so expensive every time.
Yeah.
What do you do when you wake up? What kind of like no-op are you giving?
So I basically, if you tell it to run a schedule, so there's a lot of ways you can do it. You can do a hook that runs every, it just keeps firing, right? That one can basically, the timing can get off though. And so if you really want to do it well, you just need to tell it to basically set a wake up. It has to, like a hook, every time you end a turn and there is still something in the backlog, it will always tell it to, it's like 200 tokens to say basically, is there anything in the backlog? Yes or no? Okay, fire this wake up every 4.5 minutes.
And then my point is, what's in the wake up? Just
Oh, the wake up is literally just a nudge.
yeah.
It just says continue.
Okay.
Like, like
You send continue every
it
4 minutes.
Yeah, every 4 minutes it gets a continue nudge, as long as there's something in the backlog or something like in the plan. And because it's gonna fire the whole cache anyway, so it's gonna, you might as well just look at the plan, right? And so
Yeah.
a couple hundred tokens. And is there anything to do? Check. Actually, another one is check your background task because sometimes they fail, or sometimes there's an issue and it just doesn't catch it. So that's another one you can just every 4.5 minutes check your background task. And a couple hundred tokens. I promise you, will run for days. I ran Ultra Code plus Fable 5 on Max for like 2 days straight.
Yeah.
Do you think this is a hack that just kind of works right now, or something that should
It's not a hack, it's
be
just
built into the architecture? I mean, do you think at some point Anthropic's gonna come in here and say, wow, there's millions of engineers keeping their...
No, it's actually better for them. It's
better for them.
It's actually better for them on the cache side.
Okay.
There's no reason. The problem is that they just already set up the 5-minute cache system. Anything else is a loss of money for them. Why would they lose money, right? Like, and so this is just a, like if you're used to Codex, it's got like a 24-hour cache. It's ridiculous. Like it's just all over the place. They've been switching it around lately, but it's really good versus Anthropic's is just 5 minutes. And that's where you're using Claude Code. You're probably fucking yourself on that all the time. Because you're like, oh, I'm gonna go get a coffee. You go take a piss. 5 minutes have elapsed, and you just see, oh, 5% just got added. Like that's what'll happen with Fable. But
Cache reads 10%, right? 10%.
Like if your shit's not invalidated in cache,
it's 10 times cheaper.
10 times cheaper, so it's like 10% to keep it in. So you can do like 8 no-ops. We kind of talked about this in the past, which is like 8-ish no-ops of just keeping your cache valid. And on the last one, if you want to be creative about it, you do a compact. Well, that's still in the cache. So if you do come back, you're kind of at a cheap state to be able to resume. But yeah, I guess if Fable's going, because yeah, it'll work 20 minutes, so you just no-op it.
Yeah, I just literally do no-op up to 2 hours. And it's basically, because I'm running a lot of simulations and stuff in the background. It's handling it off of GLM, GPT 5.5, it's orchestrating all that.
Yeah.
And we're a killer. It literally killed my entire backlog of World OS, like months of work with all of my agents, like nothing.
The alternative is just start a new chat. If you know that you've stepped away for too long, just start a new chat.
Yeah.
So if you don't want to like set that up.
But if you're using it as an orchestrator and it's doing work for 6 minutes, like that's kind of what he's saying, right?
Like you
Oh
kinda-
yeah, that could be. Well, like it's like if the job is done, like just maybe the job is done, therefore do
But
it
like,
that.
I was using Fable similarly, which is Fable doesn't do any work, it only orchestrates. And it spins off Opus, Sonnet, whatever. You're using completely different models.
Are you using workflows for that, or just sub agents?
I haven't done it this round of Fable. I've been saving my credits for something fun, which I haven't decided on yet.
Yeah.
Previously, I was on a $100 plan, and I didn't want to waste Fable. Like, there's not much you could have done with it, I assume.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. I was using it as an orchestrator, and I could have it run for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, and it would waste like 150 credits. I wasn't doing no-op stuff. I think the cache is longer than 5 minutes, but
I've tested it.
You would
right
know better
at
than
the
me.
5 minute mark. It's
Yeah.
like 5%. Like you will just use it up.
Yeah.
They're being very strict on the Fable side.
Yeah, this is. I'm not sure about that number. I would verify for myself.
Yeah, go ahead.
But I would also defer to you.
You can also just in the configuration just switch to 1 hour.
But there's a
It's
cost
just
with
more
that.
expensive.
Yeah.
Um,
So, but I don't know how the cache validation works, but like Fable would kick off a task to Sonnet or something, that goes off in a sub-agent, does work. That takes longer than 5 minutes, so if my cache
Yeah.
getting validated, every time it wakes up, like,
That's costly.
it's
Right.
costly, right? And
Yep.
waste your tokens. So, like we talked about this previously when Claude pre 4.7 when Claude was running into token issues, where I think they changed the cache down to 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
It's honestly the weirdest thing that there's like they added workflows and all these extra things, but they have not done any optimizations in the harness around them. Like if you run a workflow and it's going to take like 20 minutes, it will just stop and it'll be invalidated like several times.
Yeah.
And so that's honestly why I think most people complain about the usage is they're just missing that.
Like I found it out because I was doing team agents, and then I'd resume it, and it would be like 8 team members with like 400K of tokens, and you resume it, boom,
Yeah.
25 weekly.
Max
limit,
out,
done.
you're gone.
Just max it out.
I was
Yeah.
like, I can't survive
Yeah.
doing this.
So that's the biggest hack so far. If you really want to get the use out of it.
Yeah. That's great. Like, be mindful of the cache. Be very mindful of the cache. And I feel like that's like a story across all of AI usage anyways. I mean, it doesn't matter where you go to, you always want to be mindful of the cache. Let's move on. Let's see what else we got. Some of these I won't stick on. We'll just maybe blow past them. Claude Desktop for Linux. Now Linux is a first-class citizen for the desktop experience. I believe now that means, so if we go back, I don't know how many weeks, Codex is like available and working on Windows. Codex is now Mac, Windows, I don't think it's Linux. And then on the Claude side, we have now all 3 OSs. So, I don't know, if you're consulting for a business or something like that, and they're, I don't know why, but if they had Linux machines across their departments, and they wanted Claude, they now can have it.
But it's still better. Grades here and there.
It's still, sorry?
It's still in beta.
Oh, it's still in beta. Okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't have all the same features yet, but it's still better. Codex doesn't have a Linux.
Right, yeah, so Codex is, yeah, so it's just something to know, like if you're walking into a company to do stuff for them. Another piece of news, we'll move on. The artifacts thing that came out 2 weeks ago, which was only accessible if you were on a team, is now accessible on the subscription plan. And this just gives Claude a new tool. It's literally called Artifact. And Claude can generate a, similar to if you're in the desktop app, if you're in the chat, you know how when you make artifacts in Claude, there's like an artifacts tab. You can see all the artifacts Claude made. Now from Claude Code, you can make these artifacts. They're not shareable, I think, on the subscription plan, but it's still there. And there's like some interesting strategies that I've seen. Like some people are using this tool to So like one of the problems with the Anthropic models is that they're just walls of text. I suppose it doesn't matter which ones you use, Sonnet, Opus, Fable, you're gonna get all these walls of text which are just hard to read, and it's like there's a lot of people saying, oh, HTML is better, or some other format's easier to read. So there's strategies around people using this tool to generate visualizations and to put copy buttons inside the artifact so that they can like take something out of the artifact and paste it back into the LLM. I don't know, there's just interesting strategies that I see online. I also see some people saying turn it off. There was a thread on if you don't want artifacts and Claude decides to make one for you, that is very costly on tokens. So if you're someone, for example, who likes MD files and that's what you read from, like me, I'm a crazy person, artifacts, Claude is going to like spin up HTML, which is a lot more token intensive than MD files. So the other strategy there is turn it off completely. I believe it's in the /config. You can disable it.
Have they just stolen another magic word?
It's not a magic word.
What if I say write an artifact, which I've been doing
The problem
for
is
the
that
last year?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, disable it.
Because if you tell Claude to write a file, it'll decide whether
Yeah.
or not it thinks it's important to write a file. If you tell it to write an artifact, it understands what that is and would always write something to this.
Good point.
Now, is artifact a magic word? That's my point.
Yeah, good point.
It is / artifact.
Also, it's another tool being used, because I was using it yesterday, and I went, because I usually use Mochaccino, which kind of does things to the next level, and I wanted it to use Mochaccino, it did a artifact instead, but the actual tool name was something, I'm going, what's this tool being used? So it's a different name.
But I always say write an artifact.
Yeah. Well,
This is my standard.
And in Cowork, it's actually called artifact.
Yeah.
Separate, like for files.
An artifact is it's a specific word in LLM, which is like a file that writes well in the course of doing its work, right?
Yeah.
So now what happens? Just like workflow.
It's like workflow, yeah.
Which was also stupid.
Well, they took that back. They rolled it back, and now you have to say.
Well, that's my point. Roll this fucking back.
Yeah. I actually like it. So, but I don't actually look at it. I don't look at it at all. So the only reason I like it is because I install. A lot of people are freaking out about like the Kanban or tile version. The only thing that I think is better about HTML is that it has better hierarchies and storage for like different things, like for different agents that work together than MD files.
Every single one of my skills and agents from the last year says write an artifact. Now what happens?
Oh, you turn it off. You got to disable
Yeah,
it.
You know what I mean?
I would
Yeah.
just disable it.
Tell Fable to do a string replacement.
As soon as
String replace.
As soon as they added workflow, it's like he's been writing workflow forever as like
Yeah.
And the problem is when they start training the model though on it, like you won't be able to unconfigure it anymore, right? Like I see what you're saying. Like,
Yeah.
Well,
Oh, on the RL side.
Artifact was a specific word I learned from the model because I was like, what do you call in the course of your work when you write a file? It's like calling an artifact.
Yeah.
So I've been
Artifacts
doing
have
that.
been in the desktop app for over a year. So
We inherited that word
I
from
just-
from
Yeah, I
way back, 3 years ago. So it's kind of also, but I get your point. Like, I mean, I have a folder literally called /artifacts, and it was
Now
meant.
what happens?
Yeah.
I mean, let me see what it says. I think it's the system. They actually call it a different full name.
It's kind of my point with like magic words. You can't use artifact. You can't use workflow.
You gotta make up magic words like soul.
Yeah, it's annoying.
I want to share an alternative way to do it in case you don't like reading MD files. You want to see a live HTML with the ability to make comments, upload and so on, but you don't want Claude to spend extra tokens and generate an HTML. There are a bunch of plugins that basically take the plan and present it to you as an HTML and let you do your commenting things, but it's not part of the model using itself. I mean, you don't tell the model to create an HTML, but it's rather more like a hook kind of thing. So the model would, just create the textual plan like before. You would get a nice presentation. You can make your comments. You can see it in a nice way, and the model gets back the textual plan. I mean, so you don't get any extra usage. You just get more convenience. And one plugin is called CC HTML Feedback, and there are a bunch of others like this. It's basically the same idea.
CC/HTML.
CC-HTML Feedback, but I know there are a bunch of plugins like that. It's not the only one. This is just one example. Try CC-HTML Feedback in one word. HTML Feedback in one word. Remove the space. Yeah. Yeah. Should be.
Not jQuery.
I'll try to send you a link. I think I got a link for that. Let me. I'll just try to share.
So how does it build stuff if it's not using tokens?
I'll try to share it with you right now. Just see it.
And I know that Human Layer has. So is it Dex from Human
I sent
Layer?
you in WhatsApp.
Okay.
And this is just one example. There are a bunch of plugins with the same kind of purpose, so it's not like this is the only thing.
CC HTML Feedback, the tool for interactively reviewing an HTML plan for Claude Code. But the point here is that what you're saying, what you're bringing up is that there are alternatives to basically there's options here on how you want to see your data. Because I know that's a big thing. People want to see their data visually or not. They want to read the wall of text. I can't imagine who likes that.
You can see the little snippet here and see what it's doing. So it's not something that causes Claude to do some heavy work like generate a site or generate an HTML. It's rather, just do the plan the same way you do. And, I have as part of my harness a way to, view the plan nicely and edit it and make comments.
Yeah. Isn't that a feature that Codex introduced like 2 or 3 weeks ago, the annotate?
Claude has this in Claude Web as well. I noticed this fairly recently.
So
where you can highlight a part of a plan and annotate, which is nice.
I remember you even showed it here. That
Yeah.
Codex has it.
What's the in the
It's on the browser. Yeah,
the browser part of
Yeah.
So I just downloaded the newest version just now, and in Claude Code there's an artifact section, and it's really weird because it includes, this is brand new, not enabled or anything on my computer. It includes all my chats, all my co-works, like as artifacts too. And they're like, it's very strange. This is a new computer. So it's actually kind of a weird experience because it's not the artifacts we're talking about. It's actually chats and things like that. It's anything overly broad. Which I don't know why my chats are now artifacts inside of Claude Code, like the actual chats.
Oh, that's strange. That's very strange.
You see, like the actual chats. From
No, that's the new. Oh, they typical of Anthropic to basically do a lot of updates and not really announce. But for example, on the desktop for the Mac, the chat tab, for those, I'm sure you've seen it, Cowork is gone. It's been sort of merged in with the chat. And they've just basically done changes to the UI and don't announce it. I really wish they would stop doing that.
I mean, they're moving to everybody's moving to a singular interface where everything's in one place, right?
The problem right now with Claude Web, I'm not sure how the desktop works. But I have 2 people working on my plan, like my wife and me. She's like, oh, just go to the chat tab and you can see my stuff. I don't get it in the web. So artifacts might be them pushing
It's literally
stuff
all
from your
chat,
desktop because it wasn't synced. The other problem I have where I use Claude Code on the web a lot and CLI, and sessions are different. There's the storage is not unified.
I think everybody's moving to cloud for it anyway. So,
me and you maybe, but not everyone.
No, I mean the providers, not us.
Providers, yeah.
Yeah, I mean Codex is there are a lot of these cloud boxes where you can just there's no reason. They've noticed that users not just using project folders and stuff like numbers and design. You're just sitting in chat, right? And so they're moving things over to the remote box.
But if you're saying chats are showing up in artifacts,
Chats are showing up in artifacts.
unifying session essentially.
These are chats that they have no reason to be in Claude Code, but I can literally drag and drop them now into
a Claude session,
code session.
It's super weird too. They don't seem to be in any particular order.
No, they're not in any order. This is a new. This just rolled out. This was not here last night. So.
What is this? Sorry, the artifact.
This is the new artifact section in Cloud Code Desktop.
Yeah.
So it's literally just a drag and drop, like almost like a file browser of your chats. But you're not your Cloud Code sessions, but your actual.
No, that's not new. That was there before.
This was here before.
Yeah, that was there. It's just I bet like no one really clicked on it, but it was there before. There's
But before artifacts was like you build something with HTML. It's like an actual thing. It's not a session. Now it's like a session.
Yeah, it's actually like containing my sessions as files.
Oh,
Like
I tried to like make an artifact and then spawn a new Cloud Code session and say, can you see that thing? Like I would even hand it the URL because artifacts are URL. They have a URL ID basically, and it can't read it. So I really don't even know what to think. I imagine that they're constantly pushing changes to this whole artifact system.
Yesterday for sessions we talked to each other now.
Yeah.
That happened yesterday on Cloud Desktop. That was an update yesterday. So.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Well, this is why we come here, to learn new things. This is exactly why we come here.
So was it the artifact thing you were highlighting the UI elements?
I want to put it on the screen, but then you'll see all my
stuff.
All my stuff. So
Make me sound smart.
So I can't.
Wow, look at that.
But all right.
Another note
Go
on
ahead.
the artifacts. I've been using it for like 1.5 weeks, but not to represent data or information for myself, but for other people, because right now I need to do a lot of work for CTO or director people, and it's annoying. I hate writing emails. I hate updating them all the time. So it's mostly knowledge work, not so much code related, but generating artifacts for them to explaining where we are, what are the differences, what things do you need to make decisions on, just throw it over, and like it's can be somewhat interactive. At least
Yeah.
can have animations and buttons and stuff. So like just read over this, give me feedback. Like I don't care anymore. Like I don't want to call, I don't want an email, and that worked pretty well.
Yeah, you're using it for like the best possible use. You're on a team plan for one, right?
Yeah.
So on a team plan, the entire intention around artifacts is actually the way you're using it. You would have your Cloud Code make some throwaway but shareable piece of data so that you can get feedback from someone, you can give it to someone, but you don't need to like store it permanently because it's an artifact, it's a throwaway. And so I'm sure you get feedback from your CTO and they're like, all right, change this, change that.
Yeah, and I don't have to translate my super technical specs into like, somewhat formal email or whatever. It's doing it and just sending it off. Fuck it.
So it's actually it sounds very useful in this situation.
It was very useful so far. I guess it depends on the audience.
Yeah.
But, like my relationship to those people is not very informal. It's more like casual, and that worked great.
Yeah. Good stuff.
By the way, Nick, they also added Cloud Threads. So we were just talking about Cloud Threads. The newest version has Cloud Threads. Because like this is a brand new laptop. I was like, why does it have all my Cloud Code sessions like that I moved to the cloud? So you can basically control it from the cloud side now. So they beat Codex to that. Because Codex only uses it in Remote. But this, the newest update has actual cloud sessions like that you could for your Cloud Code session sync.
Oh yeah. They've actually been like doing a really good job at pulling all this together. So like if you're in a CLI, you spawn a session, it will show on the desktop. And then, yeah, if you run a cloud session, it will show. There are these like weird nuances. So I have for like a bunch of routines that fire off either programmatically or like from a trigger or something. They don't show up, which is annoying. So there's not everything shows up from because those spawn cloud sessions. So there's nuance there. But yeah, you're right. They are sort of bringing it all together.
Well, you guys are all using CLI and desktop. I'm on Linux, so I just got desktop and I haven't played with it. So I use web and CLI, and they're not unified at all.
I think people are like even Codex is deprecating the web version. I bet they're probably going to deprecate the web version. So
I hope not.
They actually have more control over it probably, but
yeah, I like the web. I don't want to.
You don't want to have it downloaded?
Yeah,
But like for them to spy on you, you need to download it on your computer.
That's exactly.
Like, I'm surprised we haven't talked about that part.
The signing of all
I like the way
The what?
because I can, you can
Anthropic
access it.
spying.
It's basically the same
Signing
law
all
as making spying.
the sessions, so Chinese models can't scan them or whatever.
Oh yeah, I have that in here. I want to jump to it. Should we jump to it?
Yeah.
It's somewhere near the end. Well, we could jump to it. I can come back.
Stenography or whatever they were doing.
What's funny is when I read so in order for these, because these slides are now on a public URL, I know people have asked, oh, can I have this data publicly? It's now available on a URL, but I have to accept it through a PR, and it's so funny because when this PR was made, because it was made by Claude, it was like, don't publish this. It had this like
really?
big ass warning in the PR description. I was like, don't tell me that. Like I'm public, like
That's crazy.
yeah, like because so the topic right now, we're gonna move a topic to Anthropic embedding hidden spyware-like code in Claude Code that covertly targets Chinese users. It then sends information regarding every user by injecting it into their prompt message. Claude Code is sending info like time zone, proxy, and possible AI lab connections into the system prompt in ways Chinese users can't notice. This is coming from, I don't know how reputable they are. They got a lot of followers. I don't know if that means much these days. They have found a lot of cybersecurity stuff, or they seem to report on it. And anyways, what they're saying here, I think let's find the actual. You might be able to speak better to this, but my understanding is that they're basically tracking where Claude Code is being used. They're trying to find ways to track where it's being used, and so they've had these hidden little strings that, so it's like, okay, if you're in some region X, China, instead of an apostrophe on like a date time string or something, it will be like a backtick or some shit like this. And so that's sort of like an indicator that, hey, we're seeing 1 million requests with the backtick in it, therefore it's coming from some region. So it had a little bit of drama, right? I think what happened, it was sort of like Anthropic is basically trying to identify where are you in the world if you're using this thing, and we don't know what they're doing with that. I think that's sort of the...
Well, it came out of them saying that China's been like, 200,000 accounts or whatever, that was like trying to distill the models over and over, which I'm sure they're probably doing. But now they're trying to figure out, okay, how can we figure out geographical locations and start shutting down IP ranges or whatever. Stenography was originally used to embed into images, so you can detect like if an image was, copied or like almost a copyright type of thing. But I've often thought of adding little snippets to my code to see like not that anybody would steal my code and use it in production, but I'm like, hey, a little tidbit here, like let's see what your code looks like. Oh, you have that weird random regex string in there.
Yeah.
Where'd you get that from?
Yeah, it's a watermark.
Yeah.
It's watermarking your stuff so that you know where it came from. It's very similar to the whole Elon thing where they were trying to find the leaker in, I don't know where it was, SpaceX or something, and so they when they sent an email out to all the employees, every email had a very uniquely sort of written email, and it was uniquely tied to the person that it was sent to. And then when the leak went out, they were like, all right, I know who this went to. Very similar concept.
But see, Nick, this is just what they've caught so far. I'm actually I'm like 95% confident part of the Fable 5 allowance is like NSA, CIA, like full-on spyware.
Yeah.
I'm very confident in that. Like, because they changed the privacy policy. If you've read it, it's insane. Like
Its inputs and outputs are retained for 30 days, right?
Oh, not just that, like just the amount of access to who they can share your information with. It's basically anybody, any party, the government, anything you send, anything you have access, and then also anything that's Claude Code catches in screenshots or metadata, anything, can all be shared with the government or any entity.
Yeah.
Without your permission or without you knowing.
Yeah.
How do you recommend this system to one of your clients when it's designed?
I mean, I guess it's an issue of privacy. Like, we're only 5 minutes away from like government super control, invasive, like dictatorships over everything you do through like AI. Like I really think that, like, you know, yeah, democracy, but actually the government now has Palantir now have access to everything you do. So as soon as you dissent, you like, you know, die. But I don't know. I think that like the Chinese side versus the U.S. side, I really don't see any difference nowadays in terms of like totalitarian access. I mean, and how many people in here installed Fable 5, didn't read the privacy email, that like they literally like drew it out, and then we're so excited to jump in Fable 5 without even realizing we just signed on like to share everything, all access, everything, straight to the U.S. government.
It's a good poll. How many people here? Raise your hand if you didn't know that Fable by design is basically all of your input and outputs are being recorded. Raise your hand if you didn't know this. That's like half. Okay, so this was. I mean, they wrote it. It's not like a secret, but also it was sort of like the fine text, if you will. Fable. The whole intent, like they said this on day one, going back many weeks, that they are going to record, and they're going to be doing this for every new model. They're going to record what are you sending in and what's coming out. The claim, the reasoning that they say is to do with the stuff around the bioweapons and how do we. It's more like we need data to train the next models to be better, to identify if people are doing nefarious or malicious things. That's what they're saying. And then you're bringing up a good point about things are probably going deeper than that. You have to imagine they are because of the whole situation that happened with the White House blocking Fable release. You have to also imagine, I think it's totally worth speculating, that all the labs are going to be forced into this. That means Gemini, that means GPT, that means Grok.
Palantir, and all your information is going straight to them.
Yeah. So if that's a big concern for you, the topic that we were having before I kicked off today, it was tied to that. The whole thing with Alex Karp coming out and talking about sovereignty or sovereign intelligence, whatever this new thing is. It's trying to solve that. And my argument is that it's bullshit. It's going to go down the same exact path. There's simply no way that you're going to have a super intelligent model and not have the U.S. government knock on your door and say, you can do that. I don't buy it. This whole Nemotron thing, Jensen is setting up some data centers that are, Jensen and Palantir are coming out saying, hey, we're going to set up this Nemotron data center. You're going to have data sovereignty. You can own it and so on. And my take is that's complete bullshit. That makes no sense to me.
Anything with Palantir, I'm friends with the CEO, and then like anything with Palantir is literally just a giant spy operation. Like it's just all NSA, CIA.
From day one.
From day one.
Yeah.
That's their whole business model.
Yeah.
It is literally like we do it better than CIA and NSA, and we give all your information to the U.S. government and Israel. And I can say that I'm friends with them. You can like look at my Instagram, like that's what they do, and they're very public about it. But you know, Americans just. Good stuff. This guy right here, I just watched him. He clicked, tried. He was like, I'm going to take all your information and give it to the government. You sure you want to move forward? He goes, yes, give it. He literally just said, give it. Take it.
Isn't that the whole story now with Peter Thiel relocating to Argentina?
I don't want to say because I don't know. I know it's a story, but.
But Nick, the other side of it is, like I talked about this last week. You choose your superpower because on the other side, the open source models are just China. Like, it's literally just China, and you're giving information there. Like, we had this issue this week at OpenClaw. Are we live? Okay. Basically, like, there's a lot of Chinese groups now. So who in here thinks that their model, or that Codex is actually checking for cybersecurity? Like, it's looking for that when you do stuff. Does anybody think that?
I don't.
Okay, good. Because it's not. And so the Chinese developers and the government now, like, whole groups are contributing to open source. We literally have a group of 20 out of China that have been contributing for the last month and basically like doing good work, like contributing good code. The thing is, they're also inserting snippets of exploits that in a single PR doesn't look like a big deal. But then through multiple PRs over time, the one line of code that gets added in that gets missed, it all adds up to a function that they now exploit. They get your API keys, they get all your information, and they can because you know we're all developers and companies, right? Oh, but I have OpenClaw or these other open source software running on my computer. As soon as they want it, they can now take control because of this function exploit that goes across multiple PRs. And unless you're actually checking over the whole code base, looking at groups of PRs, it's really hard to see because the maintainers aren't checking the code either. They're using Codex and everything else. So like nobody's doing the security to look over and like, oh, this 2 or 3 lines of code, it's just slop. It's not fucking slop. There's literally whole groups in China, in North Korea, wherever else that are like doing fake accounts, contributing open source, and they're really helpful. And they look great on the project, but they are actually adding in hidden exploits.
We are
this
truly-
is really scary. We had this big scare about it last night. They're like, oh shit, this group's been coordinated, adding all these PRs, really good code. And then you run a cybersecurity model over it, it's like, oh, you trace the lines, and there's literally lines of code through each of them for a hidden function to exploit, take over off. And so, like...
Do you think they're doing that for distillation at scale?
Distillation at scale, yes, 100%. Like, because why not do it at scale through all the open source, like through OpenClaw, through Claude Code, right? Getting your API keys in the dark, like the dark market in China right now is API keys. And so, like they're just, like some of you probably, there's probably a good chance at least
Oh, the resellers. The big resellers.
Yeah, the big resellers.
Yeah.
And those are from leaked keys.
Not just leaked keys, but actually exploits through your computer. Like the thing is, like, it's not about crashing your computer. When we were growing up, it was like, oh, I'm going to break your computer or hold you hostage. No, they just keep access to your computer, keep access to all your stuff, sell your data. Whenever you put an API key in, they skim a little off the top, right?
The Superman bug, but it's distillation at scale.
Yeah. They're trying to figure it out.
Next level of botnets. So 30,000 botnet, but you know it's scattered across the world. And you know, does this little node have Claude on it? Because if so, I can do stuff with that, sell it to someone.
So what's your plan to offset this? Like you're still using AI, right?
From a security perspective, we now have to, like, open source projects now need, like, it's a challenge because we're both open source and then like closing the loop around the core. And so like certain core things you cannot have open source. Like you just, even if it's open source, you cannot let like random, like, it can look like an American, it can look like someone else, and they could be a contributor for a while. But if you haven't met them, they literally could be an agent from any country. I know I use China on that end because they're the biggest doing it. But it's just so easy now, like, because people are just so trusting, and then nobody's actually checking code anymore, and they're just using AI to check code. And the problem is not everybody has access to cybersecurity models. We do on that end, and so it's kind of scary. And like I'm actually looking over all my open source code now. I'm like, fuck. Like I love the open source model. But, you know, choose your totalitarian regime.
There's a related news related to the open source community related to Godot, the popular gaming platform that's open source. And they recently came out a few days ago saying they're going to not allow any AI-generated code to be
contributed to the repo.
contributed. So it made me think about how is anyone even going to figure that out? They can make a policy like that.
I mean, you can run there's a classifier for AI code. It's like 95% accurate because AI is always going to make mistakes. I mean, you look at it, it's going to be like I have a code agent, right? That looks over everything. Just because the PR is there doesn't mean it's good. A lot of the time, probably 90% of the time, you're adding a ton of regressions in that a normal developer would not do. They would say, oh, this is a slop. So even just because it works doesn't mean it doesn't have regressions or security issues, right? Like it's really tough to actually. I think the biggest lie in AI coding is that it's faster and better. It's actually it takes a lot of time to make a good PR, and the AI is going to spend like a lot of hours, right? You have to really do it well, like a human would do it. It takes a lot of hours, but it'll make it work. It's just a human would be like, oh, this is a massive security flaw. I shouldn't have let this open back door, right?
I think what's important here is to sort of see that the landscape is shifting, the ground beneath our feet is shifting, and we really have to be vigilant about where things are going. We spoke about this going back, I think, last year, that there's going to be a reckoning. Security issues are going to crop up. People are going to get absolutely hacked, and it's not going to get better. It's going to get worse for increasingly more and more worse. And as far as strategies, what strategies to use, I would be very wary about here's a safe one. I don't think there is. I think it's more like stay on your toes, come to meetings like this, or keep an eye out, and don't close your ears, don't turn off your eyes to security issues. It's not figured out yet. I think that's the point. It's not figured out. Be very careful of people saying it's figured out, or that there's a final solution. There's a cat and mouse game for sure.
I mean, can you even figure it out? There's little groups.
Yeah, I don't think so.
There are teams this size that are experts that just spend all day trying to build exploits into one piece of software. Right?
Yeah.
It's just, as much as you vibe code something, there's just nothing you can do long term Like, because they're just getting better models, better AI, so it's just scary as hell. So.
Yeah.
Little bits and pieces you
So, Andrew, so
Little bits and
in
pieces.
terms of like wargaming this, I don't know if this is too much for
Go for it.
wait for lunch, but
Go for it.
let's say that you have a country like France, right? Not dumb people, they just kicked out Palantir, right? So let's say that they're better than we are, right? Because they have a team of people our size, right?
Yeah.
They are neither America nor China. They're not being theoretically incentivized to trust either at this point. But the first thing, I'll just throw something out. Might be stupid, but at least get something. Like, so if you have, if you could train on your own chips and run your own inference on open source models, right? Like, let's say Cerebras or something like this.
Yeah.
What is there? Okay, if maybe there isn't a third way. I'm very open to that. Choose your superpower at the end, right? I choose China for what it's worth. But if there's a third option, because the reason for this, like Germany, France, Korea, Japan, these aren't like.
I don't think it's so much of a small. Like, I think it's everyone. Every cyberpunk and like movie like that really is accurate on what it is. Everyone goes to big firewalls, local intranets, local type models, and then you have these big gates of entry. Like you literally cannot enter the building with a USB stick kind of thing, right?
Well, what I'm saying is like that. I don't feel like that answers like what does France do?
No, they put a big firewall in place, and
On
literally
France?
on the country, just like China has.
So you think there's a chance that that's where we're headed?
The internet runs through these fiber optic lines all through the world, and it's got to plug in, right? So I think that it's going to be firewalls at the national level, and every country like blocking certain things, trying to protect people, and it's going to get more and more restrictive as the government says, oh shit, something got through. Okay, well SpaceX is not allowed, right? Elon's whole thing is like, I have SpaceX here even though it's illegal. Like you have the internet, because what do they start blocking stuff completely? You can't get around it.
We were speculating what could happen in the coming weeks and months. I think we did this speculation a month ago or 2 months ago, and I had said that the labs are, and actually it was to what Jordan had brought up at the time, there is a movement towards moving all of the inference into the lab's walled garden. Basically, the more you can move stuff into the web within the lab sort of system, that's how they're going to sort of provide for your safety. So you can imagine Anthropic coming out or OpenAI saying, we'll protect you because we have the biggest, toughest models on the street. No one's going to fuck with us. So, but we only can protect you if you use cloud sessions, if you load your apps into our, we host it for you. And well, yeah, so like that was one direction that we sort of speculated, and it almost seems to be panning out. You have managed agents that are coming out. You have cloud tags.
Does this mean France could nationalize Mistral? Like, is that a thing that could happen?
As soon as one person does it, it's a domino effect. Or as soon as there's a major breach, it's just going to be.
Yeah, I think it's that. I think we have to wait for blood to be spilled. I think we need to see what happens.
I mean, like the group, the Chinese group that we found, like if you think about what their goal was, right? If I was China, like, and I bring in 20, 30 engineers, if I could just get an exploit into some of the maintainers that use OpenClaw or even Peter, because Peter's real sloppy with fucking security, like, and he's working on the security team for the new security cyber, the version or whatever, then he's probably going to bring it in. If I get an exploit in there, that I might be able to get access to the whole model. Because he's probably dumb enough to have it, like, somewhere accessible, and now they can just get, like, from a national perspective, like, for counterintelligence, it makes sense to do whatever. And because they can do that, like kidnap people, etc. Like when Android in Japan, they got to have security, right? Like
Brown Boris, right?
Yeah. And so like, it's just going to escalate. It's escalation of force. As soon as something happens, everybody locks down, keeps getting more locked down. Governments get more and more reactive, right? There's no way that like what has happened in the past always happens in the future from how governments react.
Yeah. So once again, being vigilant. The only thing I can say is come here and hopefully we all sort of stay on top of this, because I don't know what else to do.
We can all split a server.
Even then, it's even more scary to me. I mean, you sort of want your own sovereign thing. So I'll shift the topic. Let's shift it over to something.
I want to bring something up. Like, are we covered on the front where AWS, Google Drive, all the rest are storing our information?
the question is, are we covered on the front with AWS, Google Drive, and so on? I imagine people here have different opinions on it. Mine is, to an extent. I mean, like, if on AWS, if you're using like Bedrock to run model inference, they're coming out saying that you have security and like, we're giving you all these things. You're supposed to take that with, you're supposed to interpret that, right? Like, they're guaranteeing me this. They're saying that it costs this much if I use their service. I don't know if that's some,
It's like Anthropic is necessarily losing information to process, to spy, and the rest aren't.
Oh, everybody's data is fine. You
Yeah,
gotta
they all
assume
are,
that
just-
like all your data's just out there.
But what are you worried about, right? You still have the Cloud Act, so if the government wants to have your data, they'll get it. Like,
There is always
are we worried
snapshots, all
about
these
that
things.
Anthropic is using your data? Are we worried that whatever government is using your data or whatever, like, secret service?
Don't put dead bodies on servers. That's one thing. And then the other one is whatever existed before AI probably hasn't changed.
Yeah.
To some degree, you might have to accept that you're going to be snooped on. But this has always been pre-AI. This was always the case. If you go to the Black Hat conferences, it was always like, look, feds are doing this stuff. They're doing it.
It's a better tool.
Or acknowledge it and be careful about where things go. Strategize around that. Maybe have a server rack in your office with security guards outside. You got to be. There has to be a lot of deep planning around what's important to you. What you said was important too. Like what's mission critical, and how much strategy do you plan around that? There's a lot of variables. There's a lot of variables
Just
to
to
this.
throw something out there in case anyone's interested in this topic and wants to talk about it at lunch, there is I wouldn't call it fringe, but a less than mainstream movement in America for something called the Second Amendment for compute, that this is like the right to bear arms, that this technology, which basically means like GPUs, right? There is you can go conspiratorial, I don't think you have to, that they are actively trying to price people like us out of GPUs over time so that we don't have the right to bear arms, so to speak, to run our own local compute in the same way that maybe America, to get political for 1 second, sorry, has not suffered some of the things that England has, for instance, with free speech, where you get arrested for posting or retweeting the wrong thing, because America has like more guns than people, right? Obviously debatable topic, but this is becoming at least something like a thing. The idea that the right to local inference and compute could end up, as these things scale, as Andrew was talking about, to become something that could, in some weird cyberpunk future, be like a constitutional amendment. Just like Texas did, you have the right to mine Bitcoin, and no one can, infringe upon your right to mine Bitcoin. So the same thing could go in this direction.
Yep. So takeaway, we are definitely in the Wild West. Rules are not written. Blood will be spilt. The reckoning is coming. We've been saying this. Expect it. Totally expect it.
Will you be speaking on this to the tie next week?
All right, I'm going to shift topics to, it's another Anthropic thing because they're just doing really good with their posting this week. And this one is an interesting one because it's we can go
video.
more technical about it. Sorry?
I watched the video.
You watched it?
Yeah, it's a
So,
good
so,
video.
so this video is the CTO from Spotify talking with Boris. And Boris and them are having a very calm conversation, which is amazing, and discussing how has Spotify changed internally on the technical level, what's happening there within their board and their boundaries, how are they using AI and such. And it's an incredibly interesting talk. There's a lot of takeaways. I imagine for those who saw it, we might all have different takeaways. Mine is that and this ties to what when Ian talked with Boris some weeks ago when he was in Tokyo. The takeaway, what Boris had told Ian is that the way you prompt Fable, the way you prompt these newer class models, is that you sort of just give it an intent, you're not hyper specific, and the model's just good enough to solve problems for you. And so I sort of take all that and I'm thinking like, there are companies such as Spotify who probably aren't really thinking super deeply on a code level. And that's interesting. Like they're just thinking more of an idea level. They're not really operating on the super down detailed specifics. And then I take that and I'm like, look at the rest of the world. And there are a lot of people who are incredibly concerned about code. And it's like, you know, on one side you have people who don't, people who do. To me, it's interesting. There's
all their PRs. Sorry. They're, what is it, like 75% of their PRs are handled by agents now, right?
Yeah, 75% of Spotify PRs are handled
They're
by.
also talking about
AI.
how it used to take months to ship a feature, and now they can do it in a day.
Yeah, what is it, 4,000 deployments a day?
40,000 PRs a day.
You know, but they're burning through a lot of money doing that with the amount of engineers. But you know, is it the route of like, you know, you submit a PR and you have your agents thoroughly go through it, and that's where a lot of that's being caught. Maybe, you know, I don't know.
It's just it's interesting information, right?
Yeah.
Like you sort of take that and then you ask yourself, like, what am I doing? Is what I'm doing looks like them? Are my thoughts similar to theirs?
I'm still on that train. Like, I mean, we all use AI daily. We know what it's doing, or well, maybe not under the hood, but there's a lot of slop being generated that we're not aware of. You know?
And doesn't it have to break sooner or later? Like it's not optimized anymore. It cannot potentially understand the whole context. Like in bigger SaaS applications, like each millisecond counts, each megabyte of RAM counts because they do it on large scale. So I don't think that AI is there yet to consider all these things, and in the end it costs you a shitload of money, or your application gets slower over time, and you don't know what happened. When you say 4,000 PRs a day, well, now I have to go back, over 100,000 PRs to figure out why my application is responding a second slower than 6 months ago?
It's a good point, and it's interesting that the CTO said that Spotify code base is 30 million lines of code. It was a mixture of mono repos and poly repos, and I think they're sort of doing this movement where they're trying to truly do a mono repo. What's interesting is that Claude, let's just take Claude out of the picture. What's interesting is that AI is working in their environment to such a degree, and Spotify hasn't, as far as I know, it hasn't collapsed. It's still around. You still could use it. You could use it today. We don't know the numbers if like they've increased more users over the last couple of months. That would be interesting to hear. So I bring that up because it's like almost a challenge in a way to the points you're bringing up. Just because it makes me think like, sure, the current model might have these things that you want to be wary of, but the direction seems to be that where does this mean? What does this mean in 1 year? Like if this improvement keeps happening, do we really? Like maybe we have to drop these questions. That's what maybe I'm not sure.
Like what's in a PR at Spotify?
Yeah, what type of metric is what type of metric is that? What does it mean, like 4,000 PRs? I mean, can I add a bug and then fix the bug, and add another bug and then fix another bug? What does it mean that everybody saw that you see all these meaningless metrics?
Like it's like we're talking about lines of code here. It's irrelevant.
Yeah.
It means nothing.
Yeah.
But still, shipping that many PRs with 2,800 developers in one code base, that's like insane.
What feature did Spotify ship in the last quarter? What actual, what's the actual thing they shipped? I mean, not how many PRs.
Yeah, that's what you said on the.
That's a good question.
What's the improvement? I mean, we're talking about number of PRs.
What's the big debate with Uber, with Uber burning through the AI credits? They said they can't point to any return on investment with the burning a year's worth of credits. They said the engineers love using it, but they can't say like because of this investment, we now have these features. It just
does anybody use Spotify and say what changed in Spotify?
Legacy code writing a bit. What's the term for not backlog? Supposedly, it could just be code dev. Yeah, tech dev. So, like, that's probably most likely what it is. The problem is, if they're using AI agents, it's creating more tech debt. And so it's a self-fulfilling, like, that's what all our...
How do you measure it? Like, what?
Just in general, are there any apps? Is anyone using anything that where they're like, wow, ever since Opus 4.5 came out, my app is now getting better so quickly. I would have predicted at that time, 100%. Instagram's gonna be great, everything's gonna be YouTube, it's all getting. I don't see any difference. In fact, I actually see more, if I had to be honest, I think I see more regression in the major apps I use.
Absolutely.
That's slower, yeah. More
Facebook gets great, by
What
the
is
way.
that? I don't have like a theory of mind for why that's, because you see all these statistics, 4,000 PRs, and I go, oh shit, that's crazy.
But nothing's changed in the
Yeah,
end.
what is changing?
Instagram added that new feature for $4.
Let's have
Sorry, I wanted to add to my earlier comment. Maybe I'm actually wrong because maybe it's what you said, mostly working on tech debt, and now that I think about it a bit more, it's like maybe they're very, very good at evals and testing because now you can do A/B tests like 100 different ways of how the code was implemented, and maybe that gives you even better metrics. Maybe I'm wrong. Like now, yeah, milliseconds count, but now I can do hundreds of tests at the same time.
Depends what scaffolding they're working in ahead of time.
Yeah.
So like performance is something you can hill climb against pretty easily with LLMs, right? So if they're trying to shave milliseconds and they have benchmarks and baselines and tests already.
And now it doesn't matter so much. I do the same implementation 200 times and see what works, and then I go to the next thing and then back test it against, I don't know, the 10 best of the latest run. And
That's how, like, this group is very different than most FANG engineers. Almost every FANG engineer I know, I feel like they're just trying to work less and be at home more and do less. And like, they're literally just, I honestly think the company is fucked up in this regard without having a team that's actually setting evals and structure first. I mean, Facebook might be the one company that actually started doing this correctly, but I so many engineers have just handed off it like, I'm now spending $1 billion as a company to pay my engineers to work less and ship worse code, right? And once I've implemented that, it's very hard to bring it back because my engineers will just jump somewhere else so they can do the same fucking thing, right?
Yeah. Well, let me try it. I will try to ground us here. I will try. If we go back to January, there was, if you remember, there's this big rush of like, oh my God, the models have gotten really good. You can do so much, and I don't think we were all directly thinking it, but it's like my competitors have the same access. Therefore, we all need to just go because failure is not an option. Now, fast forward to today, it's like, okay, we have all this firepower. Should we be using it? I think is the question, right? The question is 4,000 PRs a day even a good idea? And I will reference to the Cursor event that just happened 2 weeks ago. The PM, head of whatever, from the Cursor side, that lady, I can't remember her name, did an amazing, beautiful talk, who came out and said, okay, turns out shipping all this stuff is not useful. Turns out it's more, what they're finding within the Cursor walls is that they need to be very specific. They need to be they need to have a lot of constraints around what ideas are going out into the world. So now they have like all this firepower, and now they're realizing that's not a good thing. Instead, it's more like, you got 10,000 ideas, we only care about one of them, and we need to figure out how do we find out what is that one idea that we care about. So there's like this, I call it a natural progression, right? So going back, it's like you have access to all this firepower. The next progression is, okay, turns out we don't need it. Okay, but what's next? Well, maybe it's trying to find that needle in the haystack, that one idea that is gold, the golden egg. I think it's all just very natural in that way, like
so
that.
Then, when I hear that, the first question I have is all this. Oh, Fable came out 5.6. Do we need all this shit? Like,
No, you don't need it. Because in software companies, always most of the feature program, nobody needs it. No user needs it.
I lately looked into the numbers, what happened with the books on Amazon with the AI. You have now 200% more new titles. So what kind of revenue did they produce? 7% more revenue. So most of these new titles just cannibalized pre-existing markets of existing books, just stored in the emotional property. So I think, that's my opinion, that what works now is doing exactly the same in the software space. In Twitter you have all these guys who cannibalize existing markets. This works. And the 7% is exactly what you said, the rare golden egg. But it's nothing new. The past companies always were ordering things nobody needs.
Yeah, and we spoke about this going back a year, that this would inevitably happen, and this was fine. We will have to sort of go through it and figure out what the next thing is. I don't know what it is, but so yeah, it's.
I have a very non-technical focus point of view on this. I think the threshold for testing anything is way lower now because you have access to sort of best reading models. You can reason through your ideas, not something useful, share it with your friends. A lot of people didn't have access to that. And now, I know a lot of the code is like driven and nonsense, but looking at screen time, if the apps that you've been using have gone up consistently, they have become better for the companies. Not necessarily for you, because you're spending more time on your phone, but if the algorithm is better, it's because the app is better. And so this is like very traceable. I noticed that my YouTube Shorts was trying to come up out of nowhere, and it was just like one afternoon of use. I noticed like, why am I scrolling? And I don't usually scroll those shorts, so it has become better. It's like more captivating.
Yeah, I think Boris asked him about ROI, but he wasn't really clear about the response. Did you catch that, or?
I don't remember.
Yeah, it's like, how are you measuring ROI?
And he gave a very
all the
political
shit
answer.
that you're spending.
He's a
on
CTO, he's
engineers,
got to give us
2,900 engineers, probably millions of dollars in API credits. You know,
yeah.
With Spotify making X amount more, right?
I think he did acknowledge that there is an issue there on measuring it. And I think we see that across the industry where you have, I think even this week I saw all this discussion around, I think it was even in the WhatsApp group, measuring token efficiency, measuring, God, what the heck was it? People want to measure, is it literally token ROI or some insane.
Revenue per token.
Yeah, revenue per, yeah, how do you even track, what the heck does that even mean? I mean, how do you attribute 10 tokens to X dollars on the, like, I don't understand that. But I think that the point was that people are trying.
It's
People
like
are trying.
How do you improve any business? Spotify has all these metrics, right? Of like, how does Spotify make money? Probably they get paid in subscriptions and then they pay that out. Spotify probably makes the most money if you pay for a subscription and you listen to no music, right? Like,
yeah, that's how.
Because they have to pay.
They have
time.
to pay the artist per listen.
So that's a weird business model.
I'll talk about the business model. Is all the companies, what we see is the front end. On the back end, they're spending a lot of money with like all these licenses, 100,000 licenses.
Yeah.
One is they're trying to cut down on the licenses. Second is they're trying to climb that hill, the hill climbing machine that they're building. And in case of Spotify is they weren't in the concert businesses. What if they want to get into that business? How do they run experiments? What's the best location? Which artist is the best one? So they're running all of those tests right now much faster pace, getting results faster, and then trying to figure
They're moving into new business areas.
Every business is trying to do that.
Good point. So that's sort of like, it's sort of like, where are we in 2 months, right? Yeah, because you sort of have to give it time to pan out, and good point, very good point.
So there are some other businesses that are supplying like support bots, and they have an interesting model. They only get paid when the resolution is complete or successful, right, or rated in a good way. So for some businesses, I can see that working good, because then definitely you have an interest in that your product delivers the value that you promised, right? Only then you get paid.
Yeah, it's outcome based.
Yeah.
Can we make a minor announcement?
Yeah.
So we just merged this in at OpenClaw. If you don't know, I'm on the team at OpenClaw, like officially now. But so So I was actually kind of forced on it, but anyways. So one of the things I said is, I've been working on this, like, you know, the PO through like P5 system. It's kind of really technical, and so I call it the product managers one, because so many projects, OSS, they just don't think about the user experience. So I built a new one, basically to reclassify anything that touches UX, like it's what a product manager would come in or CEO would say, this product is not releasable. And so we've now just rolled this out. And so basically, anything that breaks the user experience or anything that is not UX like friendly for the customer side is immediately reclassified in our new system. So like, and we cannot do releases anymore. Like it literally is a release blocker. Release cannot go out. If anything like, oh, if it requires you to do a terminal command or a doctor or something like that, totally P0, cannot release. So anyway, it's something I've been working on for a while. I finally got the foundation to jump on board with it. And so hopefully our UX will be a lot better, because no more just random code, developers building stuff. It's an automated product manager kind of thing that says, like, it goes through the whole workflow process. Like if a user at any point, actually I call it the soccer mom dilemma. If a soccer mom can't use the software, like at any point it's P0 and immediately blocks the release. At any function, any feature.
Finally, you guys have an SDLC being stood up and to soccer.
So that's one coming from our side. I finally, Peter just merged it just now. So
great. Yeah, that's It would have been amazing if it was a couple months ago.
Yeah, a couple months ago would be great.
Yeah.
But honestly, the developers refused, because the developer-run organization, like I literally got in a fight this morning with the maintenance team, because basically sub-agents were spending tons of tokens, like tens of millions of tokens, and one of the lead maintainers said, well, I mean, the operator should just set a budget for it. I'm like, no fucking platform, no user says sub-agent can only get this much. It doesn't happen. You just need better policies, better systems. The harness needs to be better, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, what soccer mom would say, you only have 1 million tokens. Don't spend over this.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Completely, yep.
So anyways, give me a month. I think I'll fix it.
Okay. Got it. All right, let's see what else is on here. What is this? The breakthrough is in Slack. It's the wiring. Why did I say this? Let me read it, because I don't remember. I talked with a few folks inside Anthropic, and I'm starting to understand what Karpathy is saying and what lots of people are misunderstanding. It's not about Slack, but about a cloud AI hooked up to all internal company systems. I believe this is in reference to the Claude tag. Last week, we spoke about Karpathy coming out and saying, this is the new thing. And then it caused a whole bunch of controversy because he's working at Anthropic and he's like a shill for Anthropic is the controversy. And I suppose that this person is acknowledging that that might not be the case, that this new, I think what this speaks to is this concept of multiplayer AI. So we're all very familiar with single player AI. You talk directly to your chat system. It produces some results. You have a hard time sharing that with someone else. Single player. Multiplayer is this new paradigm of it's actually literally what Jordan said last year. I think everyone sits around a campfire, talks, and as they talk, some AI is in the background building shit. And Jordan, good job. Your prophecy came true.
So the next paradigm shift.
The next paradigm shift, yeah. And
it's what is it? Can't remember the word, but like, really AI has the idea of like all the information in the business. I had a word for it previously, but like went from context engine. I can't remember. Like business process context. Like the AI has to understand what the hell you're trying to build. So you're just not like prompting. Like it's going through reading all your Slack messages that has more context about what your business actually trying to do. So when it builds something.
Basically, it's connected in all ways to your. I think of it's like a hub and spoke architecture, where the hub is, if you imagine Claude sitting in the center, has access to literally every service your business uses, and therefore can make decisions, can go find context where it's needed. Anthropic has moved in that direction. We know this for sure. They put it on their slides publicly, on their PowerPoint slides and their presentations over the last 2 months. I've been moving to this also, like just in my own company, where I have everything wired up to sort of this central AI system, and it makes my life easier. So it's in regards to that. Next topic, Chamath on, that's too big, let me read the summary. Nope, I'm not reading that. Let's read this instead. So, Chamath on July 2nd, 2 days ago. For those tracking the America closed source versus China open weight model debate, in an initial pilot on modernizing an application from PHP to Next.js, Opus 4.8 with 8090s, that's not the GPU, that's the name of the product that Chamath has. It's called Software Factory, was simultaneously 1.4 times cheaper and 1.5 times faster than Opus 4.8 alone. Pairing our Software Factory with the cheaper GLM 5.2 model cut costs 16.4x, and though it ran for 3x slower than Opus 4.8. The results are directional. Next steps are to rerun with proper controls, blah, blah, blah. The point here, I think, is that there's this very big talk, very big debate right now going on, ties in with all the stuff we were talking earlier about the open weight models being just unbelievably cheaper and almost kind of the choice that people feel like they need to make because of all the regulations and policies that are going around. So this news model, this just captures that I wanted to sort of highlight that someone is out there doing these large scale migrations. This was the holy grail, I think, if you go back 2 years ago when AI was sort of catching on with the engineering circle. It was like, who's going to be the person that converts your .NET 3.5 application to .NET Core, or your old ass PHP system to something new? Whoever discovers that is going to basically have a golden egg. So I think Chamath is sort of pushing that he's sort of found that formula. So what's cool for us is like, it's happening, and it's happening cheaply. I think that's the point that I wanted to make.
Token efficiency is coming. Everybody's got like 400,000, 500,000 bill for engineer for like this year already. So everybody's putting limits on their expense. So I just saw a tweet from Tesla coming like it's $200 per week for AI expense for each engineer. So if it is 200, everybody's going to be efficient. They're going to find ways to cut the cost on that.
Yeah.
I think if somebody's working at the Frontier Labs, they don't care about it. They spend millions on tokens. But everybody else, I don't think you hire a $200,000 engineer and then you spend another $400,000 or $600,000 on that. That's $1 million cost per year. That's a lot for every business.
Yeah, totally. Yep.
Most on like token efficiency.
Yeah, and it very much ties in with what Steve was saying over the many, many months, being token efficient, token budgets, tracking, and so on. Very, very important stuff. Very, very important stuff moving forward. What else do we have? Why did I save this? This is the, yeah, same thing. GLM is excellent in Next.js. Evals validate. My own vibes validate. This is CEO of Vercel basically acknowledging Chamath's post, saying that directionally he's probably correct. So just good for us engineers to know. What is this? I think this is the Mythos release. We've already gone over it. Everyone knows Mythos is back, or Fable rather is back. I'm going to skip it. Controversy. I think we probably just skipped this. OpenAI is, what is it? They're giving the US government a 5% stake in the company. A bunch of people don't like this. A bunch of people do like this. I don't know. Probably not relevant to us, but it happened.
I mean, better to do it before they take it.
Yeah.
Like, that's the whole philosophy.
Nick, what did you find useful Sonnet 5 versus 4.6?
On Sonnet?
Yeah.
I did not use Sonnet 4.5. I was one of those people that I use Opus for, I will admit it. I use Opus for literally everything.
But you said you were playing with Sonnet 5.
But yeah, so I started using Sonnet 5 this week when it came out, and my whole thing was, how close is it to Opus 4.8? and I was like, what I found was that this thing, it feels, I'm going off of vibes, is very close, and I was like, I'm just gonna use it for almost everything that is like, so the way my system is set up is like I make sure that every task that is run in my company has a plan and all this stuff. If a plan is sufficiently written, I just started giving it to Sonnet, and it was working out just fine.
You were, one of the things I heard, Sonnet's a lot better at planning than Opus. Not better than Opus, but like.
I didn't check that.
Plans, yeah.
I went straight off of like, I was watching a lot of people talk about how if you were using Sonnet on like Macs, like you were, like this is not a good idea, or even X high. And so it was more like using Sonnet on, this whole week for me was Sonnet on medium or high. And medium stuff was, oh, I know now, I remember. There were a lot of skills that I have in my system that I narrowed them down, forced them to use Sonnet on, set on the front matter to Sonnet with the effort level to medium. And they worked just fine. It was perfect. So
I was just curious.
Yeah, I'm going to be using it a lot more.
All I've heard is hate, so I don't know. I'm curious if someone's getting, like for me, I haven't really tested, but the knowledge work stuff's on it.
One of the engineers, I just saw one of the engineers at Anthropic posted like using Sonnet 5 as a primary model with Fable as advisor.
Yeah.
It was like they've actually built it to work like that.
That's what I was thinking, because they're both 5-class models.
Yeah.
So
like I think internally that's like there's probably something in the harness that is there for that. And the idea is like Sonnet 5 can handle a lot of the actual coding tasks, right?
Yeah. But
you use like for planning and architecture, you use Fable, and it's like a massive like 60+% reduction in token usage on Fable as well.
Yeah, compared to Sonnet 5. Sonnet 5 Opus 4.8, not much of a reduction, but still a reduction.
Yeah.
And then, but if you're doing Sonnet versus Fable.
Yeah, I've been running 4.8 Opus 4.8 with Fable as an advisor, but I might try. I haven't tried Sonnet 5.
Using the advisor.
I just saw that.
Yeah.
I just saw that post, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll try that.
Because when I was using Fable as an orchestrator, it was using Sonnet pre-5 to do most of the execution. And it's nice. Everybody's like, oh, Fable's so slow. It's like, well, Sonnet's
Well, that was another thing. It said it like speeds like Sonnet 5 is so fast compared to Opus.
Yeah.
Yeah, on medium, it's like it just blows through everything.
It's a little longer with Fable, but you're only using it for planning and architecture. Then in Sonnet does execution fast.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense, but I'm not sure yet.
Yeah, could you talk about your experience with 5?
Sonnet?
You asked Fable. Sorry.
Oh.
You asked everyone else, but I didn't hear your experience.
I've been using it. So when it first came out, I used it entirely for non-coding tasks, and it's the same thing here. I am using it literally to stand up all the infrastructure for my business. And I did say it. I was like, my whole week has been like this, and me like, oh, this is amazing. I've been loving it. I fucking love Fable. I think it's really, really good. That type of model, I'm very excited to see the GPT side of it, but this type of model, I don't want to use anything else. I really don't. So right now, my whole strategically for the company is infrastructure. I'm sort of copying the same thing as the Shopify guys and the Spotify guys. I made this decision a year ago that infrastructure has to be my investment. I'm a solo operator. I have to run everything I do. It has to be ran by AI. I have no choice.
For what? Infrastructure for what?
Agents running everything, all of this shit, the coordination of this event and this meetup, these slides, my business that I run with my customers, everything is like, I'm here talking with you guys. I'm not talking with customers right now. Like all this stuff has to run smoothly. It has to run without me there. So I label that under infrastructure. And I know that's what many of the other CTOs are thinking as well, where they're saying invest heavily into your infrastructure now, which means what is what in your company, look, it's hard to find the words. What loops do you have? What automations do you have set up? What are those dependencies? How are they shaped and all that sort of shit? To me, that's all under infrastructure. What agents are you using? How are they made? All that sort of stuff. To me, that's number one. It's number one. So I've been using Fable strictly to build infrastructure.
Have you had Fable go back and like rework something that previously maybe didn't work the way you wanted?
No, but I have had it go back and delete. I think like 40% of my meta repo has been removed, which has been really, really nice. It's been a really nice relief.
What happens when people move away?
Yeah, I had that problem. I had that problem like day 3 last when the first I sort of a bit of a pit of regret, but I had to whatever. I couldn't go backwards. So I'm willing to take the risk. So.
Wait, we didn't announce the API changes for Claude also. They announced it this weekend, or today. The API pricing and like how the backend API system works?
For Sonnet up until next month, it's you get a special rate. But be careful, it goes back to normal rate after. So, but yes, that's true. There is, I think it's like $2 per million tokens.
Something ridiculous.
$10.
Just on Sonnet 5?
Something like that. I saw the email. I figured he was on.
Two-thirds of the normal price, I think.
2/3?
Yeah.
It's $10 instead of 15. 2 instead of 3.
But it's only temporary.
Yeah.
And after, I think by next month, they're going to go back to normal pricing. Maybe.
Yeah, there is internal talk where they're saying like they're going to redo the entire API cost structure. So it's like they're going to redo. I have a feeling when all the 5 models come out, they're going to do a massive reduction in API cost. I think they're feeling the heat from the Chinese models, and then even code like OpenAI reducing their costs so significantly. They're going to feel the brunt of that.
They also increased all our token spends by 30%.
But they tend to do this. I don't know if you remember when they moved to when they went on to the 4 series originally, they dropped from $75 per million tokens down to 25. So I think when the whole 5 series comes out, they'll do the same thing. They'll probably go from 25 to 15 or something like that, and drop everything down pretty significantly.
Like Fable is technically cheaper than Opus was.
Yeah.
Nobody remembers that.
Be pre-Opus 4, like Opus 4.5.
Because like on a $100 plan, if you used Opus for like 40 minutes, you're done.
Yeah.
Yep.
And now you can use Fable on a $100 plan quite effectively. Everybody complains it's more expensive. They don't remember the old days.
It's all pricing strategy.
Well, they don't remember like when we they started this before, but when I first started coming to this, like we were all paying API, like we were all paying cost 75. There was no subscription at all.
Well, we all went through a weird roller coaster because when there was, I don't know who remembers, some of you guys were here at that time, when the subscription first came out, there was literally, what was it? We had these insane leaderboards of people trying to spend like $10,000 per day, and Anthropic had literally no way to stop this. And so I was kind of in that boat, and so I got sort of stuck into, it was a mistake because I in my head I was like, oh, I have access to so much tokens. So for me, it feels like I've been getting reduction over time, but I suppose it depends on your perspective and when you entered into the game. 2 other things are not they're not slides that made it, but I thought it was interesting news in the week. I'll share this and then we'll end it here. There's like rumors going around about GPT breakthroughs with efficiency as well as DeepSeek efficiency. Someone posted this on the WhatsApp channel. Really interesting stuff to hear. I don't think it's panned out yet. We haven't seen the results of that, but I am looking forward to it. Very curious to see how that.
The DSpark.
Yeah, the DSpark from DeepSeek. Big efficiency gains. It's like some Insane number.
600%.
600%. That's insane.
And I posted it. It's more about like they're hamstrung on compute, so they're figuring out better ways and more engineering tasks or algorithms to be more efficient.
Yeah.
In the U.S., they have this unlimited compute, so we're not. I mean, outside of maybe what OpenAI might announce, we're not seeing that kind of efficiency.
And that DeepSeek thing came with like there was something that 100 H100s can do. They had some sort of metric there. I don't remember what it was, but it was very, very impressive.
They're just coming up with new ways to be more efficient with less hardware, which I think is important.
Yeah. All right, guys. I think that's it. We're at time, so we'll end this here. Or skip today, or. Let's end this here. We'll do lunch, so right next door we'll do lunch today. And for the announcements for all the events that are happening this month, I will put it in the WhatsApp group. If you're not in the WhatsApp group, come to me. I will give you the invite. Actually, you can just scan that. You'll get in the group. It's somewhere in there. And yeah, thank you guys for coming. Have an awesome weekend.
Thank you.
Happy 4th.
Oh yeah, what we need to actually do this as 3 people, not me and you. It needs to be us 3. Because if I set up something with you and then what happens is I talk to him and he's like, oh, I've done